Hello YouTube, I'm Tammy K. Welcome back to my channel. So today we are painting just some fall florals. We've got a dahlia here, which, it's a loosely inspired dahlia, as well as some beautiful side facing and then also this tilted facing floral. Okay, that side. Hi YouTube, I'm Tammy K. Welcome back to my channel. And today we are painting some fall inspired flowers, some dahlias today, and this is a front facing, as well as a side facing and a tilted one. So I hope you have a lot of fun painting this with me. I'm excited to get to it. Let's go. So today we're looking at our little sample. This is just a sheet that I filled up, and I was having a lot of fun just doing some zinnia shapes. We've got our medium watercolor paper, 2 water jars, one for warm and one for cool colors. And then I've got my Winsor Newton watercolor paints. And I've got some of my brushes here. So these are just samples of my brush line that will be coming out, and I'll let you guys know when. But if you're interested in hearing more about it and being notified when they're for sale, you can click the link in the description. So this is a number 12 filbert, and this is actually a number 6. The number is not right on there. We're going to be doing some fun floral shapes with that, and then we'll use the number 8 round as well, and maybe some other brushes too. We'll see how we go. So I'm going to start with that. Let's actually do the quill, because we're going to do a large zinnia and then some smaller ones. Different perspectives are important. So I'm just going to grab some paint here. I'm actually going to use this really dark purple color for the center. And once I have a pretty thick mix, I dab my brush, and I'm just going to start in the center of my page about there. And I'm going to make these little stipple marks for the middle of this flower. So just dabbing your paper, little tiny brush strokes here and leaving some white space. They have some really beautiful dark centers. And so we'll do that first. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to dry this so that we don't disturb the center when we start to put in the petal shapes. Now we're going to take that same brush, I've cleaned it off, and we're going to grab some water and then grab some yellow, some cadmium yellow here. And for all the parts of the stamen and the middle parts of the flower, we have to add in these yellow bits on the outside of that center. So just dabbing, adding some little dots just around the outside, and then we'll dry that as well. All right, so getting out that big brush and wetting it up. Sometimes words. Okay. Getting some orange and a lot of water on my palette. Just like so. So it's pretty light. I do want a little bit more water, just making this a very light mixture. Dab your brush. And then we're going to start making these long petals. So we're just going to mark it and then slightly shift it a little bit. Let's try that again. Press down and shift it so that you are starting to get an angle of your brush, and then it gets really thin right there. Keep trying. It is a practice. It's not necessarily easy. So I'm going to start over here. And there's slight shift. Remember, it's that first layer. So don't worry too much about it. Again, not looking for perfect, right? Just looking to put marks on paper. This is the part that seems harder when you have to do it this way, and you have to kind of angle your wrist in a way that doesn't feel as natural, but that's okay. This is just part of the experience. Just like so. All right, so we've got the first layers here looking really nice. And while that's starting to dry, because we're going to do another layer, I might be able to avoid doing the heat gun and just start with my leaves and see where we go from there. So I've got my quill. This is a number 1. And let's see, let's grab some green gold, a lot of water, very light watery paint. That's what you want to go for that first layer. And then we are going to do our zinnia leaves. So I'm just going to kind of sketch out and move my brush a little bit around here, kind of coming together now because this is a large zinnia. We need to do larger leaves. You can even leave a little white space for highlight if you want. Paint around this. All right, and then grabbing a little bit more water, grabbing a different shade of green. Let's go with the olive green. And then I'm going to put another leaf right here, kind of wiggling my brush, letting them touch a little bit. Boop, and fill it in. Now my brush is feeling a little dry. It's going to dip, swipe, and then use that water to bring that color all around. Just like that. These don't have to be perfect, okay? These are just fun little leaves, adding in a little bit more color on top. And I'm going to fill this part in. Now, I almost feel like I want to fill this in too. So this is kind of that process where you start to augment and see where you want to make some changes. Little sketchy lines as well. That's the great thing about this quill. It's just a really nice point. All right, let's do a third leaf, grabbing more of that olive. And I'm just going to put that one in right here. Nice little point. So depending on the pressure you're using, you can get really thin or really thick lines and shapes with this brush, which I love. All right, so we'll let this all dry. We'll come back to do our second layer. Alrighty, now we are going to do a more saturated color. I think I need a little bit more water just so that I can have some spreadability. So you're gonna do a lot more paint and a little bit less water than you did before. And we're gonna go over the top and just darken these up. And feel free to just twist your brush like you were before. And don't worry about getting this perfect. Need a little more water, mix that in. Look at how beautiful that color is. Love it. Take your time. I tend to be a pretty fast painter, but I don't think that always is the best way to do it. I don't think it always serves me. So I'm learning to slow down, kind of pay attention to it. All right, so you need just two more. And there you go. And this is a practice, like anything. So the twisting is kind of hard to do. You can even go in with the side of the brush and do a few little cutesy lines as well, just for some extra fuzzy, fluffy petals. And then these guys are dry as well, so I'm going to take that number 8 and I'm going to grab some more concentrated greens. Dab your brush. And I do feel like adding in lines is the thing to do for this one. So just a few little lines to add some realism to our painting. Those veins really help, you know, to make everything come together. And if you want to be really fancy, you can even outline. For example, this one here, I can kind of outline like that. Maybe this one too. Just a little bit sketchiness. I do want to do a little bit with this center too, because I feel like, you know, we kind of covered up that yellow. So as much as yellow is a challenging color to have show up, we're just going to do a little bit over the top here and a very thick amount. And yeah, that's showing up pretty well because that is part of that classic zinnia middle. A little bit extra over here. So now that we've done the front facing and this large version, what I'd like to do is use our smaller brush to do something kind of like this and something like this. So let's do that. We're going to do our middle once again, but it's going to be more of like a kind of a half dome shape. Grabbing that purple once again. And over here, just going to paint, like I said, kind of a half dome. We're using our filbert for this. I'm going to leave a little highlight too. Oh, for fun. And then over here for the real side facing, I'm just not going to have a middle exposed. So we'll dry this. Then we'll get our trusty number 6 filbert. And we're just going to have a lot of fun with this one. So I'm going with some pink, really light pink. Remember, you go light and then you have a nice layer that you can start layering on top of to really make your painting come alive. So we're going to start with some cool petals like this. So on the side, coming around, and I'm still doing that same twisting motion. So putting the brush down and then slowly twisting it. You don't have to if you don't want to. I just think it adds a little bit of something, daintiness to the petal shapes. All right. And you can make them really thin too. Let's see here. Kind of like this. And then around the top, I'm just going to do some little brush strokes. It's tilted so you just can't really see it, the rest of the petals. All right. So that's, very simple, very easy, just a few extra ones here and there, just to fill in your flower. So that one's going to be hanging out there. Let's do a nice stem. Just arcing it slightly for interest, and then we're going to do some leaves. So I'm going to take my quill for that because she's a thicker brush. I'm taking some sap green, and we're just going to press down, slowly curve around, lift up. Same on the other side. The quill does a good job. And a little slightly different shade of green, same thing. A little bit of white space. And just another one right here. Bringing that all together. All right, so that one was pretty easy, pretty simple. And when that's dry, we can go in and add a little extra. So taking that filbert again, it's always a good habit just to rinse your brush if you haven't used it in a bit or whatever, put it down. Let's go with our lovely light purple. We've been using it in a dark way, dabby brush, for a different purpose, but now I'm going to tilt my paper a little bit so it's a little bit easier. But now we're going to use a lighter version, and we're just going to put some of those brush strokes down. Again, we are side facing. So you won't see the middle. I'm flipping my brush just to get another petal in there. Just like that, really simple, really easy. Then what I want to do also is to put that, the stem and then the connector for the stem. So grabbing some green, pretty saturated amount, and then there's some thickness here where the stem is attaching. So we're just doing that slightly and then drawing down that thin little stem. Now, I'm going to take my dagger brush now. I'm going to use that one too. Why not? With the green gold. And so then just has a nice point to it. And then we can kind of just use this to play around and draw out some leaves. I feel like some of the leaves on here then with this brush become a bit more sketchy, which I kind of like. Let's see, I'll do another one here. It's a little bit awkward doing it this way, but that's the thing, it's a whole learning process. You have one direction that is much more comfortable and easy for you. Let's just drop in some darker. And then you have other directions that are harder, and so you can choose to tilt the paper, or you can choose to, stick with it, but it's really up to you. No harm done either way. I don't think that you should feel pressure to paint one certain way because it's your artwork. So these guys, are fairly done, but we do want to just add a little more pizzazz. So I'm taking that small filbert once again. I like the light pinkness of this. And actually, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna start with this one. We're gonna go with the darker version of that paint, and we're gonna just start to add in just some fun, easy little marks here, kind of twisting, turning the brush. If you want to make some of your marks thicker, you can just do that with the filbert so that some of those marks just kind of, meld together into one, if that makes sense. So this guy's got, some just really easy, light marks there with a little petal falling off. And then this one, I actually wanted to take the number 8, and it's has a delicate point. So we can do a little bit more with that. So let's grab some of this bright pink color. I like bright pink colors and bright colors in general, so let's do it. Okay, down the brush. And then for this, we're just going to kind of sketch out some lines. And we're just going to go in with the curvature of the petals themselves. So you can see some of those lines can be longer. Some of them can be shorter. Sometimes you can do thicker marks too, but it's just to create a little extra pizzazz and to darken up some of these petals. And so sometimes I like to outline some of the petals like that, and sometimes I just like to have a little bit of that darkness right where it connects to the center. But for me, the point is that you are changing it up, and you're not just doing one thing over every petal. Make this a little bit thicker here. Well, there we go. I'd say a little bit of splatter, absolutely. Thank you for asking. I love splatter. But then also we can do some lines over here too. Now, those are kind of blurring because it's still wet. Over here, just a few lines. And then we still have that white space, which I think is pretty cool. Just leaving that there. A little bit of splatter, and I think we're done. So let's let's not do that. Let's grab some pink, a little bit of pink. All right, we just tap our brush a little bit there just to make flowers a little bit more magical. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know in comments if there is another flower you'd like me to paint that inspires you in the fall, 'tis the season, all the things. And that's all I got. So make sure though, if you want to check out further information on my teaching, you can join Patreon as low as $3 a month. That's the platform where my membership is, and you can get exclusive content, drawing sheets, more classes, more tutorials, depending on the exclusive content you want to sign up for. I'm also on Skillshare, and I've got the link below as well for that. I've got 5 classes, and actually the 6th one has just come out today. It's all about painting watercolor leaves. So linked below, 30-day referral code. You can watch that class and all the other classes on Skillshare for free if you are a new member to Skillshare. Happy painting, you guys. Happy mental health, and I'll see you soon on the next tutorial.